Hi, my name's Nicole with So Much More, and I'm your Juki brand ambassador. In today's video, I'm going to talk all about my new long arm, the Juki J-350. Now, I've had a long arm before, as you know, but it's been on a table. Now, I've moved that long arm system to a frame. See, this is a 10-foot frame. In this video, we're going to talk about the features of this machine and the frame. And then I'm going to share a little bit behind the scenes of how the installation took place. Now, the installation was several hours, so I've condensed it, and it's just kind of a fun behind the scenes look at how to set up the long arm system. So let's get started. Now, as I mentioned before, this is the Juki J-350, and it is a 18-inch throat long arm quilting machine. If you want to know the basic functions and more information about the machine itself, I'm going to link a video down below. It has lots of good information about it. Let's just talk about the frame for a second. This is the 10-foot frame. The frames can come in a variety of sizes. This was a good size for my room, and so that's kind of what was set up here. And so now I'm going to just go over some of the basics of the frame. We have 5 different rails or rods on this frame. This top one is called the take-up rail, and then the second one, this one right here, this is called the idler rail. Then moving towards the front of the system, we have the quilt back rail right here. This rail is for the quilt back. This one is for the quilt top right down here. And then this bottom rail down here, this is for storing batting. See, I've got a whole roll of batting right there on those rails. And so this has 5 rails. On the end of the take-up rail, we have the wheel that helps us advance our quilt right here. This table right here, this table structure, you can opt to have a pantograph paper laid out on the back and handles put on the back of your system to follow a piece of paper pantograph if you want. I'm preparing for the quilt automation, and that's why I have this rack up here that will hold a tablet. So more to come about that. Now, I know that that is a very basic and general overview of the quilting system, but as I mentioned before, we have another video linked in the description that talks all about the features of this machine. There's lots to cover here on the basics, and then be sure to subscribe to my channel because I'll be sharing more about the automation, which is coming soon. So let's just take a sneak peek behind the scenes of how we got this system all set up in my studio. I am very fortunate to have some amazing dealers in my area. I live in the Kansas City area, and my dealers are Joan and Robert, and they own several shops in the Midwest area. And so they came to my home studio today and brought the system and set everything up just like they set up my very first system, which was like down in the basement. It was much smaller, but the same head, like I was saying before. So this is just a video of some behind the scenes footage that I recorded. I had to speed up the film so that we could condense the installation into a video that wasn't too tedious to watch. And so while Joan is on the floor putting the rails together, Robert is getting the legs and the table structure all set up. So like I said before, this is a 10-foot frame, which requires 2 side legs and a middle leg to hold the length of those rails. 10 feet is quite a lot, so this requires a middle leg. So right now, Robert is attaching a bracket to the leg, and this is going to help support the table structure. And so the first table structure is on with the middle leg, and then once that's set up, then the second table structure is attached to the existing one. And so it looks like it's going together pretty quickly. But once Robert puts these two structures together, then he spends a lot of time on the floor tightening everything. And Joan is now going to be attaching the rails, and she's also going to be taking a leveler, and this is a really good time to make sure that the table is level, especially when you have quilt automation. You're going to want to have a very level quilting surface so that the motor doesn't have to work extra hard to make up for an uneven surface. And so now Joan has put the bottom plate, which is also commonly called the carriage, and it was kind of rolling to one side. And so this is where she brought her level out, and then some of the legs were adjusted so that everything would be nice and level. And since this system is going to have automation, Joan is installing some additional parts to help that system maneuver automatically with the upcoming computer interface. But now that we have the track aligned and the wheels on the carriage are aligned with the track, it's time to set the machine head onto the carriage. And there are a couple of things to attach to the bottom of the head so that it stays securely onto the carriage. I was so grateful to have Joan and Robert install this system for me. And I know that several people have done this without assistance, but I've found a ton of value in having a Juki dealer that will do the installation for me. Now, I've met several different Juki dealers, and each one of them have been more than happy to arrange installation for their own customers. It's just a few more connections to make so that the head is all ready to go. But once the head is fully assembled, then it's time to put the rails into place. And it was a bit tricky to get the rails just in the right place just because they're so long. Luckily, my new studio space can accommodate the size of this frame. Those rails fit right into the side legs pretty easily. And then Joan got right to work with installing my leaders. They brought over a leader system that has Velcro installation. And this Velcro is super strong, and it holds the leader for the take-up rail, the quilt back rail, and also the quilt top rail. The idler rail and the batting rail don't get a leader attached. As you can see, it was really valuable to have Joan and Robert here to do the installation on this new Juki J-350 quilting system. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be sharing more information about the basics of the machine, like loading it and maybe quilting a quilt freestyle with free motion quilting. And then we'll also get into the details of using the quilt automation. Bye for now.